welcome to a new video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Rose and thank you for taking the time out to click that thumbnail. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're having an amazing day and I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. Today's video is part 4 of my 2022 Declutter series, decluttering all of my eyeshadow palettes. As you can tell, this is an ongoing series over here on my channel where I am slowly but surely decluttering all of my eyeshadow palettes and things that just no longer bring me joy or serve a purpose in my collection. I will have the playlist to part 1 and 2 listed in the cards if you want to go catch up and see how many palettes I've gotten rid of so far. So if you want to see how many palettes I am about to declutter for part 4, then just make sure to keep on watching. But you guys, before we get into this, make sure to stop right now and like this video. And if you want to see more content from me, then make sure you're subscribed. I put out content weekly, so you don't want to miss out on all the fun. Also, make sure to check the down bar for all my other links to all my other social media platforms. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop on in and continue decluttering these palettes.
Baby, wait, I know that you're afraid, but it'll be okay if you just stay with me.
We are steadily moving right along on this declutter. I still have a little over half of my palettes to go through with you guys. I enjoy doing these videos in segments where I kind of break down the declutter and put it into multiple videos rather than trying to cram almost 200 eyeshadow palettes into a 3 or 4 hour long video. I'd rather just kind of break it down how I've been doing, kind of like a little series. Plus, again, it's also really hard for me to export any really long videos from my camera. I will have my Macari app listed down in the description box of the video and will gradually be listing any of the palettes that I am decluttering, ones that have been gently used and aren't destroyed. Any of the ones that I do not list, I will be donating to the local women's shelter here in my area. And lastly, before we get into it, I'll go ahead and pop up the disclaimer like I do in every one of my declutter videos. Please take a second to read that. I do have a goal set in mind to where I am going to try to declutter anywhere between 40 to 50 of my palettes, which is a very reasonable goal, I feel, and I should be able to achieve it. I'm actually getting pretty close right now. I noticed the further we get into this declutter, the more difficult it's going to be to let go of palettes because I always seem to like save some of the best ones that I have in my collection for last, such as like Huda Beauty and stuff like that. We haven't even touched any of my Huda Beauty palettes and I have quite the collection from her, so I don't know if I'll probably won't let go of any of hers. We'll see how well I'm able to do and how many more palettes I'm going to go ahead and let go of. So let's just go ahead and start right from the top. Right on top of the pile here is a new palette to my collection. This literally just came in the other day, and that's the other thing. So my number of palettes has increased during each one of these videos, as you'll see. If you read the description, it went from 179 to 180 to now we're up to 185 palettes because in between every video that I've been filming, I've been getting palettes in PR, such as the Patrick Ta palettes. I have the Nomad palettes that came in and palettes in Boxy Charms, as well as this palette came in my Diva Fresh box. So the number is still increasing as we are decluttering. Let's go ahead and talk about the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2 palette. I am an affiliate with Patrick Ta, which is so crazy to say, you guys. So if you shop through the link in the description of this video, my Patrick Ta link, it will get you free shipping on anything on the website. And let me tell you guys, I highly recommend checking out Patrick Ta and just shopping around and taking a look around because his formula on his products is absolutely breathtaking, you guys. I mean it, like absolutely to die for. This one did just come in my collection. That's a shame. I actually clonked that one with my nail here. Let me see if I can't fix that. Look, let me see. While I'm at it, I might as well go ahead and give you a swatch of this shade since I'm trying to like fix that chunk right there from my freaking nail. These metallics are so buttery smooth, so creamy, so easy to use. As you can see, that shimmer shade just swatched like it was nothing. They are velvety smooth, incredibly rich, incredibly pigmented, and the cream shadows are to die for. I really like using these as either my base shade or like this one I like to use as a liner a lot. And I actually have a look that I created on my most recent update on my PTP, which you will see coming really soon if it's not up already for you guys. Of course, because this one is brand spanking new and I literally just got this in the mail, this is definitely not going anywhere. It is a definite keep for me. Up next is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Alyssa Edwards palette, which this one came in my Diva Fresh box for the month of April. And I'm actually really excited that it came. This is actually one palette that I don't already own, so I'm really excited to try her and use her. I have created one really fun, colorful look with this, and I'll get ready with me over on my Instagram. And I really like the way that the look came out. Of course, it's very cohesive with ABH's formula. So far, so very good. I really have been enjoying the formula and the shadows and the color story in this. So for now, I'm definitely going to go ahead and continue holding on to her. Up next is the BH Cosmetics Summer in Saint Tropez palette, and this is of course one of the 16 pan palettes that I really enjoy the formula of, and the color story of this is really stunning. I do love this palette. I just haven't really been able to use it a lot because of course it's gotten buried in my collection over the years that I've had it. It's just a fun, vibrant, rich palette, and I do still really enjoy this palette, and when holding on to it right now, it still brings a lot of joy to me. There's some shadows in here that I was trying to pan, doing 101 pans with, and it still brings me a lot of joy. So for now, I'm going to continue to hold on to her as well. Up next is this Ace Beauté. This is the Slice of Paradise palette, which is such a cute name. And this was recently sent over to me from the brand, so I really want to hold on to it for a little while just to see how I really enjoy the formula and to develop some kind of opinion about the formula. So I haven't really used it yet. It's again another new one. And it looks absolutely beautiful. It's fun. It's colorful. You guys know I love some colorful palettes and colorful looks. And them greens just look so freaking pretty. I have swatched Fruit Dove and a couple other shades in here just to see how well they look and how they swatched. And it seemed to be really nice. I just wish there was two different colors here instead of it being two pink shades. I know one's supposed to be more like a purple, but they'll pretty much both be like a purple on the lid. But either way, I'm still going to continue to hold on to her and see how I feel about it. Now, this video, you might see more that I'm actually going to be keeping, a significant amount more that I'll be keeping than I'll be decluttering. But again, that's why I set my declutter number relatively small, between 40 to 50 this time. So I don't really put that much pressure on myself to have to feel like I have to declutter when I don't necessarily want to, if that makes sense. Up next is the Sour Ya Doin' eyeshadow palette. So freaking cute, from the Beauty Bakery. This was in this month's BoxyCharm, and I remember somebody's comment on one of my previous declutters asking if the formula in my BoxyCharm eyeshadow palettes was bad, and I wanted to go ahead and touch on that right now briefly and let that person know that the formula in the BoxyCharm eyeshadow palettes is not bad. I think the main reason I've really been prone to getting rid of some of my BoxyCharm eyeshadows is just because they are new to my collection. They have just been sent in through BoxyCharm, and because they are relatively newer, it's just kind of easier for me to let them go since I haven't really used them and like fell in love with them yet. So that's really the main reason why you've been noticing I've been prone to letting go of some of my BoxyCharm palettes first and easily without any hesitation. So it's not because they're bad, because the palettes are really pretty in each BoxyCharm that I've gotten. Like this one, for example. So this is from Beauty Bakery. But as you can tell, there is a theme here in this palette that I'm just not a fan of. And if you haven't been able to tell from the first 3 declutters that I've done, it's reds. So I'm just not a fan of reds. It's a beautiful like sunset type of palette, but I'm just not a fan of reds, and it's brand spanking new. This one hasn't even been swatched. So because of that, it's new. I would rather somebody else get some enjoyment out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. Up next is the Nabla Secret palette. And this is a really beautiful palette, you guys. It's the only Nabla palette that I own. I've created some really, really beautiful looks with it. The shade Play Hard is rather special. It's one of my favorite shades in the palette, but it's just hard to pick up with on a brush. It comes out rather chunky, but it is still very beautiful nonetheless. Part of me wants to get rid of this, but the other part of me doesn't want to let it go because it's the only Nabla palette I have, and I haven't really played with it a whole lot, but that's another reason why I feel like I could let it go. So of course I am struggling with this one, and I haven't been doing no maybe piles or nothing like that. I want to be pretty cutthroat and decide on whether I'm getting rid of it or I'm going to keep it, and that's that. So because I'm undecisive, that is pretty much my answer on, I just feel like maybe it's time to let it go. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter it. Up next is the Violet Voss Sugar Crystals palette. Now, I love this palette. I've gotten some really good use and enjoyment out of her. It's a beautiful, as you can tell, a rainbow palette. Just a great formula, and it's so vibrant and fun and poppy. Also, with that being said, I have a lot of colorful palettes that I have since decided to keep, so I actually think that I'm gonna go ahead and declutter her. It's time to let it go and, you know, maybe let somebody else get some love out of it. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. Do I want to get rid of it? Not necessarily, but I'm trying to get better about decluttering, so I'm gonna go ahead and let it go. Up next is the Nomad Cosmetics, the brand new Paradise Islands palette. This literally was just sent to me as well, which again is another reason why my numbers and eyeshadow palettes has steadily increased throughout the declutter, is because more and more palettes keep coming into my collection. So this being one of them, this was sent to me from Nomad. So incredibly grateful, you guys, to work with Nomad. Felicia and Nancy are amazing. They are such a power couple, and I am so grateful to be working with them. I mean, just look at this palette. It is stunning nonetheless. Look at how incredibly beautiful she is. This is definitely not going anywhere. It's going to be a definite keep for me. As well as the Nomad Tokyo palette. This is another just a freaking beautiful palette, you guys. It's pastels. Pastels are really in right now. Again, it's springtime. Perfect palette for springtime. I love the duochromes down here. They just really amplify the look, and they are really a great pastel formula. So she's definitely not going anywhere either. I am definitely keeping my Tokyo palette. If you notice any palettes on here that look like they've been in one of the previous videos, you are correct. And that is the Rose Company Cosmetics Iced Gold palette. Now, the reason I went ahead and decided to put this back in my pile here is, in my previous video, I decided to keep this because it was in my 101 pans. I am currently trying to pan the shade Queen's Crown. But one of you guys had mentioned in my previous video's comment section on how I had mentioned how it was harder for me to potentially sell any of my palettes that have pan in them. So to maybe not try to hit pan in this shade Queen's Crown in this palette and list it instead. And I think that is a great idea. I don't know what I was thinking on keeping this, because as soon as I hit pan in it, I said I was going to go ahead and probably declutter it, which if I hit pan in it and it makes it harder to possibly sell, why would I want to do that? So I have since decided to go ahead and just declutter this altogether, since it is brand new. It's never been used except for a couple times, the shade Queen's Crown. As you can see, it wasn't like I was getting a whole lot of progress on that shade. So I wanted to say thank you for the person who mentioned that in my previous video. It was a very good point, and I wanted to go ahead and just decide to actually declutter this one. Up next, we have the BH Cosmetics Weekend Vibes, the Avocado Toast palette. And this is a beautiful green color story. Now, I really do love green eyeshadow and green looks in general. This is a great formula. This is the 16 pan formula from BH that I absolutely love. But I'm also trying to be more realistic with myself and wanting to only keep things in my heart of hearts that I know I'm actually going to use and love. So part of me wants to declutter this, but the other part of me wants to hold on to it. It is really, really pretty. It's a unique color story. I haven't gotten a whole lot of significant use out of it yet, but I also decided to keep my Forever Flawless Chilled Cannabis palette, and that one is also a more green tone palette, and I don't know how many more green tone palettes that I necessarily need. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong. Part of me wants to hold on to it, but I gotta let go of some more palettes, you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter it. Up next are a couple of my Natasha Denona midi size palettes, and this is the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. Now this one is actually brand new. I recently bought this one with my own money, and I haven't gotten any use out of it yet. I do know there's some mixed opinions and mixed reviews on this palette. Some people love it, some people hate the formula. I know that they said there's some cream to powder formula shades in here, but I'm not opposed to cream eyeshadows. I just need to really dip in here and get a feel for it because it is unused. As you can see, I haven't used it not one time yet, or nor swatched it or anything. It looks absolutely stunning. Of course, it's Natasha Denona. It's hard for me to let go of any of my more luxurious palettes, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue holding on to her. Up next is the Natasha Denona Love palette, and I do love this palette. It's just beautiful pinky purpley tones, and there are a couple reds in there, but they actually go very cohesive with the palette in general. As you can see, it definitely has gotten some use out of it and some love out of her. The shades are really nice, the formula is really nice, and of course it's Natasha Denona, so I just don't have the heart to get rid of it. It's beautiful. Again, I do like a beautiful pinky mauve tone look on the eyes, so I will go ahead and continue holding onto her as well. And last up from my Natasha Denona mid-size palettes, here is the Glam palette, and another one that I purchased myself. Beautiful smoky taupey lovers palette here. Absolutely beautiful formula. I like how the shades are kind of named as to where you want to place them on the eye. You can smoke it out. The blending shade, a crease shade, lash line, center of the eye, stuff like that. Real pretty. Beautiful palette, though you can of course mix and match them however you choose to, but this makes it very beginner friendly for anybody who is wanting to necessarily try maybe Natasha Denona's palettes. I definitely recommend this one. It's very neutral, very easy to use, beautiful color story, and it's just a great palette, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and also continue to hold on to her. Up next is the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette, and this one is literally brand new. This just arrived in the mail today, so I had to set it on top of the pile here, which is again another reason what I mean on my number keeps growing. In the description of my videos, the number of palettes that I own, every video you'll see it increase because I can't help but to keep bringing in palettes, whether they come in PR or I am purchasing them. They just keep coming in. So another reason to try to get rid of more than I am keeping, which that is going to be a struggle, but at least I'm doing a declutter nonetheless. Again, this one just came in today. It is my first and only Melt Cosmetics palette, and I am so excited to try her. I hear nothing but great things about the Gemini palette, and of course I had to pick it up after seeing so many beautiful looks with her. And if I wanted to get any one from Melt, it was definitely going to be the Gemini palette. So this is definitely not going anywhere. Again, it's brand new to my collection, and just look at it. These grungy tone vibes. It is right up my alley. Beautiful palette, and yeah, we're definitely going to go ahead and hold on to her for a while. Up next is the KVD Beauty Edge of Reality palette, and for one, can we say how stunning that packaging is on the outside? And for two, I love these shades in here, you guys, but they are like duochrome flips. They're extremely sparkly on the eye, extremely pigmented. You can kind of see this shade right here flipping as I am just moving the palette around. It's just something really special about this palette. I don't own too many from KVD Beauty, though I do love her brow powder. The Brow Struck powder, it's all I use every single day. And I think some of these are mattes, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're all shimmer shades, but it's newer to my collection. I did just recently pick this one up, so I definitely want to continue holding on to it and get a feel for it. And this was an influence buy from one of my friends over on Instagram. I saw her raving about it, so I decided to go ahead and pick it up myself for a steal of a deal, like $10, so I couldn't let it pass me by, just to give myself a chance to try the formula and see what I think of it myself. So it's definitely going to be a keep for now. Up next, we have my Adept Cosmetics, the Plain Jane palette. And you guys already know how much I love this palette. For one, just look at it, you guys. Oh, is it absolutely beautiful. And now I also have the new remastered shades in here. So I have the older two. The ACI 10 and ACI 12 have since been replaced. Adept went ahead and sent over the two new shades that come in the Plain Jane remastered, which I'm so grateful for because this palette is absolutely beautiful, you guys. It is the most beautiful iridescent multi-chrome, sparkly, flippy, shifty shades on the eye, and it adds that added extra dimension and sparkle to any look. Any one of these shades you can layer beautifully with any kind of look that you may create, and I absolutely love this palette. It's definitely not going anywhere. Up next is another Adept Cosmetics palette, which is the Kodan palette, and Adept was very kind enough to send this over to me in PR, and I'm so grateful that I have her. It's so beautiful. I am obsessed with Adept's formula, her mattes, her shimmers, her metallics, her diamond toppers, her iridescent shades. They are all to die for. Definitely worth trying Adept. If you have not tried Adept Cosmetics, I highly recommend. Trust me, you will not be disappointed in her formula. I have a coupon code. I will have it listed down in the description of this video. You can use the code ROSIE10 and it'll save you 10% off anything on Adept Cosmetics website. I highly recommend trying them out if you have been on the fence or wanting to try Adept. I definitely encourage you to try. You will not be disappointed. So again, this is the Kodan palette. I believe it was limited edition and she brought it back once, and I'm not sure if it's on the website no more, but it's beautiful. I'm so glad I have her. I've created some really beautiful looks with her. The shade ACI 27 is crazy good shade. Look at the flip on that. So beautiful. So yes, I love her, and of course none of my Adept palettes are going anywhere, so it's going to be a keep as well. And the last but newest Adept Cosmetics palette to my collection is the Amunet New palette. And I am so sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. It's the Amunet New palette. I believe that's what it's called. I did just recently pick this one up myself, so I did purchase this with my own money. It was on sale on the website, and of course I wanted to get it for a fraction of the original cost that it costs. And I'm glad that I have it. So it's brand new. It hasn't been swatched or hasn't been used yet, and I feel bad because I did want to do some swatches and some looks and things around it over on my Instagram, but since starting my declutter, it's kind of just been sitting for now, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to showcase her and all of her beauty. Look at the shade Neps, beautiful, as well as Anubis is beautiful. Just the whole palette is stunning. I believe they have a light and a dark one. So of course my keep number is climbing because I'm keeping all of my Adept palettes, as well as this one is a definite keep for me. Up next, we have the BH Cosmetics Cotton Candy palette. This palette is super cute. I remember this was like a year or two ago when BH Cosmetics came out with this line of different fun pops of colorful palettes like these. So they have a green one, a blue one, this pink one, a neutral one, all colors, orange, you name it. I was only able to snag this one up. Beautiful, fun, pink palette. Definitely love the color story of this one. It's really cohesive and really easy to create with. You literally can just line up the mattes with the shimmers, or of course you can mix and match. Beautiful pink palette, but I actually think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one just because I'm trying to get rid of palettes, you guys, trying to be better about decluttering. It's close to as many that I am keeping, though I know that's going to be difficult as this series progresses because there's going to be more palettes that I'm keeping for sure. But again, I want to try to get better about decluttering some, so as sad as I am to see this one go, I will go ahead and declutter it. Up next is the Give Me Glow Christmas Morning palette, and even though this is a holiday palette, just look at it. Look at how beautiful these shades are, and it has the shade Gifts Galore, which was one of the main reasons I bought the palette, because I did buy Gifts Galore as a single, and it is broken. I ended up breaking it on my own, but I'm glad that I have the palette. It's beautiful, perfect for Christmas, or any time of year really, but definitely Christmas. You can create some stunning Christmas looks with this. It's Give Me Glow. I don't have the heart to let go of any Give Me Glow, so it's going to be a definite keep for me. Okay, you guys, as we are approaching the last half of my palettes, I did just want to make a disclaimer and let you guys know that it's going to be rather difficult for me to declutter the majority of the remaining palettes in my collection, so it might just be more so me showing you my collection with an occasional declutter here and there, just because I really do love the remaining palettes in my collection, and I wanted to make it a point to, you know, get rid of some earlier on in this series. So if you continued watching this all the way into part 4, which is where we're at now, and into part 5, you guys are the real MVPs. Thank you so much for supporting my small channel. With that being said, we have the Pinky Rose Cosmetics Center Stage palette, and time again, every single year, I continually decide to hold on to this one just because I don't have the heart to let it go. It's a beautiful fall time palette. It's just stunning, you guys. It's so beautiful on the eyes. The formula is gorgeous, and I really like to reach for her in the fall and winter months. It's a beautiful palette. I'm definitely going to go ahead and continue holding on to her. Up next is the Sydney Grace X Temptalia Radiant Reflect palette. I just recently picked this one up actually because I wanted to try Sydney and Grace formula. I hear so many people rave about how good it is, and so that's why I ended up picking this one up. I haven't really used it too much yet. Not enough to really develop an opinion on the formula. I did use it like once, and I kind of noticed the shimmer shades were a little bit hard to pick up with. I don't know if it's just this palette or what, but they were kind of hardly pressed in the pan. The shade Temptalia was. I used some of the pink tones so far, but I'm not going to let it go yet. I'm going to continue to hold on to it and, you know, use it some more and see how I feel about the formula and go from there. We'll reevaluate next year. So for now, I will continue to hold on to it. Up next is the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. I really like this palette, you guys. This palette is so freaking pretty. Look at it. Of course, it has some reds in there, but I definitely don't mind. The formula on this is superb. Beauty Bay is affordable, and they make good quality palettes, and I really wanted to dive into trying more brands this year that I haven't tried before, and Beauty Bay was definitely one of them. Love this palette. It reminds me so much of Christmas time as well, and it's just beautiful, you guys. I'm definitely gonna hold on to this one. Up next is the original Jaclyn Hill palette with Morphe. As you can see, it's gotten a lot of love throughout the years. Love this palette for my day-to-day looks. I still reach for and use her often. It is just a great staple palette that I feel everybody really needs to have in their collection, especially if you are new into makeup and are wanting to experiment with colors and everything. This palette is ideal for you to really practice on and get better at your color concepts and color theories, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love everything about this palette. The formula is still superb. I've had it for quite a few years and it's still performing just as good as the day I bought it, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and also continue holding on to her. Up next is the Morphe 35i palette, the Icy Fantasy palette, and this is an all pastel palette. I haven't gotten a whole lot of use out of her. I held on to this last year in the hopes that I would get some more use out of it. The color story is absolutely beautiful. Part of me wants to hold on to it to try to get some more use out of it, but also part of me thinks it's time to go ahead and declutter it just because I haven't used it, and I do have the Nomad Tokyo palette as a pastel now. I have the Natasha Denona pastels. I have the BH Cosmetics Lost in Los Angeles palette as pastels. So I have a few different pastel palettes now. So I actually think that I'm just going to go ahead and declutter her. Hate to see it go, but maybe it can get a good home somewhere else. Up next is another Morphe palette. I only have these 4 remaining from last year's declutter, and this is the 35V palette. It's a really pretty palette, like the color story. I did keep this one last year in attempts to get some more love and some more use out of it. I like how you have your day-to-day shades over here and you have some more dramatic evening, darker shades over here. The formula is really nice on this. I do love the palette and gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and also declutter her. Up next is the last of my Morphe palettes, and this is the 35M palette. It's beautiful, you guys. I really like how unique this color story is with the purples and the dark mauves and the greens up there, and there's some dark tones down here. I do think it's just something special about this palette, and though I wanted to get rid of most of my Morphe palettes in this declutter, I think it's okay if I hold on to 2 of them. I had at once 10 of them, and now I've gotten it down to just the Jaclyn Hill, and I'm probably going to go ahead and just continue holding on to this one as well. Let's see if I'm able to get any more use out of it this year, so I will go ahead and hold on to it. Up next, we have not 1, but 2 of the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palettes. And not too long ago, I actually had 3 of these. I did just go ahead and list one that came in my BoxyCharm Luxe. As most of you know, this was my PTP for last year. So this one has pan in every single shade. I did do a good job at panning her. And this one is new. So this was when I was in the mindset of feeling I needed to have backups of everything. And because I know I enjoyed the palette so much, I kind of panicked and went ahead and bought another one. And then I ended up getting yet another one in the Boxy Luxe. So it was kind of pointless for me to buy this, but I didn't know, of course, that the one was coming in the BoxyCharm. So I have 2 here and trying to decide on what to do because I love this palette. Part of me thinks I should just declutter the used one and literally just throw this one in the trash because I wouldn't even be able to donate this nor, list it or anything like that, and then just keep the newer one. But also part of me thinks I could get rid of this one and let somebody get some use out of it and just continue using this one. So here is where I am conflicted. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to go ahead and continue holding on to the well-used and well-loved one, just because there's still a lot of product in here. It's a freaking whole 18 pan eyeshadow palette, and I don't think I'll be finishing it anytime soon, especially with the collection I have. So I will go ahead and keep this one, and I will declutter this one to let somebody else get some enjoyment out of it. I don't need 2 of them. Up next, we have the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette, and this is relatively newer to my collection as well. well. I did just pick this one up about a month and a half ago because, of course, it's Huda Beauty and I cannot say no to her palettes, though her two newest smaller 9-pan palettes, those ones that have the graphic liner gel pods in them and stuff, I have not had the urge to want to pick those up, so I think I'm making some progress and growth here. But I did grab this one up. I've used it only one time, but I created a really pretty look with it, so I'm definitely going to hold on to her and get some more use out of it. The only shades that I don't understand and really like is the Lovestone, these petri dish looking shades she uses and puts in there. They're pretty for a glossy eye effect. I understand the concept, but they crease so bad and they're so sticky, so I like to use them a lot of times as a lip gloss. But anyways, it's a beautiful palette and I'm definitely gonna hold on to it. Up next is the Huda Beauty Naughty palette. Love this palette. I love all her palettes, you guys. I'm not going to be able to let go of any of her palettes. Let's be real here. So I'm really just showing you guys these palettes. That's why I said what I said. So this palette is absolutely stunning. I love the color story. I love everything about it. The formula is really nice. Huda Beauty formula, really, she just knocks it out of the park time and time again. Of course, again, we have that Petri dish shade in this one as well, which this is the palette where it originated from. And that's the shade Slippery right there. But still, it's a beautiful palette and I'm definitely holding on to it. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these little mini palettes from e.l.f. Now, these are extremely affordable. I don't know why I feel the need in my mind to have them all and collect them all because I just don't use them all. They're only $3. I have gotten better. Again, I haven't bought the new Dunkin' Donuts collection, though I did see them on sale for like $11, all 3 palettes, and I almost picked them up. But I have pretty much all of them right here, and for some reason I feel like I need to hold on to these, but I don't need to hold on to them. I just don't. Like, I'm not going to reach for them. I'm not going to use them. I have gotten some use out of some of them, but like this one, I think I used it one time. It's pretty, but I don't need it. Like, I just don't need it. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter it. As well as the e.l.f. Rose Water. So I decluttered this last year as well as a couple of the other ones, and they somehow crept back into my collection, and I haven't used it not one time since. They're pretty. They're really pretty, but I just know I'm not going to use them. So I'm also going to go ahead and declutter this one. This is the Cream and Sugar one from e.l.f. Real pretty. I have hit and pan in this. Gotten some use in her. It's pretty. I'm gonna probably hold on to this one just to try to continue getting some more use out of it and pan the last remaining shade here. That's just the project panner in me that won't let this one go. So I'm gonna hold on to this one to try to get some more use out of it. Up next, we have the Natasha Denona Mini Crush palette. And I recently just picked this one up. Well, around Valentine's Day, I grabbed this one and wanted to check out the formula. It also came with a really cute little brush, and the brush is really soft and really good quality. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit raspy. It's been a couple of days and I've caught some kind of virus and basically lost my voice, which is why it's taken so long to get this video up and part 4 up, because I couldn't talk for a couple days. So if you've noticed my voice has changed a little bit, that is why. But yeah, this is a really pretty palette. It's brand spanking new. I have yet to even use it, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and continue holding on to her. Well, I will tell you, my keep pile is definitely climbing over here. I got quite the stack of palettes going on. I'm going to try to do a couple more of these, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up part 4, and then we will finish the rest of the palettes off on part 5, making this in fact, 5-part series. Up next is the Natasha Denona Mini Gold palette. Absolutely love this palette. I love the formula of this one. This is definitely one of the best formulas of all of her mini palettes, is this gold formula, the mini gold formula. Very creamy, very opaque and pigmented, and just beautiful on the eye. Oh, this palette is gorgeous. Love this little baby, and she's definitely not going anywhere. It's gonna be a keep for me. Up next is the Natasha Denona Mini Star palette, and this is another really good formula. This one's really good quality. The shimmers in here are really nice, and of course it is a mini of the Star palette, the original Star palette. All of these are minis of some of her bigger palettes, and this is a great palette. I really enjoy this. I like to reach for this for my day-to-day kind of looks and achieve really stunning looks with it. So it's Natasha Denona. Of course, it's going to be really hard for me to let go of any of my Natasha Denona palettes just because I really love her formula. So this one is also going to be a keep. Up next is the Natasha Denona Mini Lila palette. Now, if you guys remember, or if any of you are back for a second year of my Declutter series, you'll know that I had this in last year's Declutter and actually decided to declutter it, and then I couldn't have the heart to let it go, so I ended up pulling it out and trying to hold on to it to get some use out of it, mainly because of these two shades. This is a really beautiful, just a neutral shimmer shade, and it's actually really creamy. And this is just the most beautiful mid-tone brown shade. Now, these ones are a little bit more harder to kind of use and they're a bit patchy, I'm not gonna lie. But I still don't have the heart to let go of it yet. For that reason alone, I'm gonna go ahead and continue to hold on to it. And that was the same with the Mini Sunset palette. This was another one that I decided to declutter last year and ended up pulling back out and holding on to it. Now this one, I haven't had a chance to really use it much since pulling it, but I do want to try to use it. I think what I would like to do, once the declutter is over, since I have technically hit my goal, so I don't even have to get rid of any more palettes technically because I've reached my goal, but I'm still going to continue to keep going. But I think what I would like to do is actually keep all my mini palettes out and use them one by one each day, use a different mini palette. And then after I go through all the palettes that I've kept in this declutter, if there happens to be more after using them that I decide I want to let go of or the qualities went off, I will then come back on and do like an added extra bonus declutter video, kind of going through the ones that I've kept. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and just hold on to this one as well to see how I feel about it and if the formula is still good and all of that. So we're going to go ahead and continue to hold on to her. Up next is the Natasha Denona Mini Retro, and I really do love this palette. I really want to get the Retro palette that she has since came out with. I have the Zendo and the Mini Zendo palette, but I really want to get the Retro, even though it's a little bit of a different color story than this one. I did notice that in the original Retro, there's not many green tones. It's more like a pinky, mauve-esque type of palette, but it still looks really pretty. And this one is really great. It's a gorgeous formula. As you can see, I do have pan in this really pretty pink shade, and I've gotten some significant use on her. The formula is great, very creamy, very easy, everyday, approachable, just a beautiful palette through and through. So I'm definitely going to be holding on to her as well. Up next is, now I don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce this brand, but Laritzi Cosmetics. This is the Artistry palette, and this was actually just came in through my Glossy Box subscription, and it's beautiful packaging. Look at how stunning and sleek the casing is. It's a really pretty color story, very mauve tones, and just beautiful day-to-day kind of shades in this palette. It's brand spanking new. Again, it did just come in, but I actually think I'm just going to go ahead and let it go and let somebody else get some use out of it. I do have these shades 10 times over in my collection, and because it's brand new, I would rather somebody else get some enjoyment out of her. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter it. Up next is the Mint Chocolate little mini palette from e.l.f. Cosmetics. I really do like these mini mint ones that e.l.f. created. As you can see, this one is brand new. I haven't really had a chance to use this one yet, though I have used the other Mint to Be one. And I do really enjoy overall the quality of these little palettes from e.l.f. I mean, you can't beat it. They're only $3 a piece. And so far, so good. I have gotten rid of a couple, as you saw. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and continue to hold on to this one just to see if I do, in fact, like it. Up next is the e.l.f. This is the Berry Bad little palette, and I really do like this one. Now, you guys saw I did go ahead and declutter the Rose Water one, which is just a little bit of a lighter version of this one. As you can see, the tones are a little bit lighter, but this one is more darker and more rich, and it's a really pretty formula, and I think I've only really used it one time, so I would like to continue holding on to her as well, see how I feel about it. As well as this little e.l.f. pumpkin pie one. This one's beautiful. I love these rich, warm, earthy tones and oranges, especially in the fall season. And I did create a really beautiful look with this. I've only used it one time. I definitely want to continue to hold on to it and get some more looks out of it and some more use out of it this fall time. And then maybe after possibly another season with it, I may declutter it. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to hold on to it. And that's the thing, these are only $3 a piece, so they're really hard to let go of because the formula is actually really, really nice. Now this one is the Hot Jalapeno, and this one is a beautiful green tone. This gold shade is surprisingly really crazy good, and I love a green look. And I did go ahead and let go of my Toasted Avocado palette from BH Cosmetics, so I don't have a whole lot of like pure green palettes left. So I would like to go ahead and continue to hold on to this one, mainly because of that gold shade being so very crazy intense. I am shook at how pigmented and intense that gold shade is for a $3 palette. Yeah, I will go ahead and hold on to this one as well. Up next is the ICU one, and this is the beautiful blue toned one. I do hear mixed reviews about this one. Some people love it, some people hate it and think it's patchy, but I haven't used it yet. I really need to. This is what I mean. I need to just leave all my mini palettes out and use one a day until I can see how I feel about them. I don't want to really necessarily get rid of it because I haven't used it, and I want to see if I do in fact like it. So for that reason alone, I will go ahead and just continue holding on to it for a little bit longer. In an attempt to try to make this video not an hour-long video, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, and we will come back and finish up this declutter series on part 5. Let's go ahead and I will show you guys my two different towers here. So mainly, as you can see, one is significantly larger than the other this time, but that's okay. I knew as this declutter progressed that my keep piles would climb and it would be more difficult for me to get rid of more palettes. Keep in mind that I did in fact meet my goal of decluttering anywhere between 40 to 50 palettes already, so I'm really proud of myself for that. But we are going to keep going, and we have hopefully one more video to film, making this in fact a 5-part series. So here is my keep pile, and here is my declutter pile. So for part 4, I decluttered 12 more palettes, and I did keep 34 palettes, you guys. Oof, I know. But at least I got rid of 12 more palettes. I will pop up a number on the screen so that you can see the total number of palettes that I've decluttered exactly so far. The ratio on this one isn't as good as part 3. We are at about a 1/3 ratio. At least I'm still getting rid of palettes in my collection that I know in my heart of hearts I will just no longer use. Make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for part 5, which will be the final video to my 2022 Declutter Series. And if you are interested in any of these gently used palettes, make sure to check out my Mercari app. It will be listed down in the description box of this video. So that's everything for this video, you guys. Make sure you subscribe and leave me a comment and let me know what are some palettes that you might have seen in this video that are interesting to you. Any of them that you were surprised I let go of. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to like it. And until next time, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.